Hey guys, it's Sydney Wong here with VenturX, and today we're going to talk about product market fit. So what is product market fit? Product market fit is how a target market is resonating with your problem and your benefit to your particular company's product or service. So your solution, in other words. Now, product market fit is the kind of buzzword that happens all over Silicon Valley as well as anywhere where there's a big startup scene. So that's why it's very important to understand. But the other reason why it's really important to understand what product market fit is and how it fits in with your startup journey is because according to the CBS Insights, it's the #1 reason why first-time startups fail. It has nothing to do with resources, funding, time. It has to do with your product market fit. A lot of startups end up building upon an idea, but not a lot of people want to buy it, or they have chosen the wrong market, or a lot of different reasons why their product market fit really isn't flying off the shelf. So we're going to give you 4 simple steps on how to find your product market fit in just 24 hours. And this is a true story because it happened to me. So step #1 is identify your target audience. So our target audience happens to be startups and investors. What we were trying to do is to close the gap between startups and the people they get funding from. So where did we find our investors, which is our other market? So where we found our investors was at an event. Where would investors happen to be at? Where would they go? They would go to startup competitions, pitch competitions, things like that where they know that they can make a big impact in their community. And so the startup judges happen to be all of the investors that I did my very first market research on. So I went to these startup competitions in my community in Montreal, and I started doing my market research, asking them questions, qualitative and quantitative, which brings me to step #2. Step #2 is ask the right questions. So the wrong question is the easiest one that most people tend to ask, which is, here's my idea, what do you think of it? Because there's a lot of reasons why that's bad. First, there's only one right answer that they're going to give you. You only allow them a closed-ended answer, and you're kind of waiting for them to say yes. So that is a bad influence on their unbiased answer. You have to be able to compare their answers with other ones. So you want to use a mix of qualitative and quantitative questions. If you want some examples of what quantitative questions would be and how to score on them, please contact us on our website at www.venturx.ca. There's a contact us form, and we will send you a sample of our quantitative research questions. And step #3 is that you have to be able to measure it. So use startup tools like VenturX or Excel or other kinds of tools where you can actually track how effective your specific niche target audience is. If it's not the right audience, then move forward and track on other ones. So using your quantitative research, a scoring mechanism, for example, such as this is the target market. For us, the target market was investors, and their problem was that they're being over-solicited by entrepreneurs that were unprepared. So they had a very difficult time with their due diligence, they had a difficult time with the funding process. And how difficult was that? I scored it from a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being the most painful. So luckily, at that particular event, we mostly got 8s, 9s, and 10s, which meant that it was a very big problem because there were more and more startups coming into the community, and yet they didn't have more resources to help really streamline these kinds of due diligence and funding processes. Now, the 4th one is rinse and repeat. So if you are finding a niche target market where they are scoring really high, great, find more of them. So do more than 35 of them if you can. There is a great accelerator director named Robert who I really like, and he always said, if you can do 5, you can do 35 customer discovery interviews. So that's why I say rinse and repeat. And if you happen to score really low, my best tip is change your market. See who else would be speaking towards that kind of problem and that solution to your particular company's business. And maybe it's the wrong target. So changing the target is probably the easiest one to change. But make sure that you're tracking it as you go along to see if you're getting closer or further away from product market fit. If you guys have any questions, I encourage you to leave us comments below. Thanks, guys.